draft is 2 days away, and the question looming over the Giants as time winds down is QB or not QB? Do they go with a quarterback at number 3, or do they go with the best available talent? If it's any indicator at all, the G-men worked out 3 QBs, including Colorado Shedeur Sanders last week. Despite that, it still feels like the decision that's to be made by head coach Brian Daboll and GM Joe Schoen, that they're on 2 different pages. Take a listen.
Process has been excellent every year. There's really good communication, and not just with the quarterbacks, with each position. It's okay to disagree. You're not going to be disagreeable. And everybody has thoughts and opinions of what they evaluate and what they see. There's very professional, conversations that we have. And we're all trying to do the same thing, is trying to improve our football team. And then at the end of the day, we'll have a conversation and, pick the player we think will best be suited for the New York Giants.
We now welcome in our NFL analyst and former GM, Mike Tannenbaum. And Mike T, you've been in multiple draft rooms in your career. What do you make of what Brian Daboll had to say right there?
Yeah, Amina, he's clearly trying to dispel the notion that they're not on the same page. I worked with Brian Daboll for a number of years. He's really good. He's very thorough. But it's very unusual so late in the game for such a big decision, Amina, for them to go back out for private workouts. Private workouts are totally part of the plan, but to do it so late in the game when it's such a transformational decision is very unusual.
So what would be the ideal draft plan for the Giants night 1?
Well, if they could draft Abdul Carter, presumably Travis Hunter goes 2, and they could get the pass rusher from Penn State, that would be ideal. He's a blue chip player, complete difference maker. And then you go back to the bottom of the first round. Ideally, hopefully Shedeur Sanders falls. If he does, trade up for him. Jaxson Dart from Ole Miss, I think, has a chance to be a good starter. Tyler Shugg, despite being 25, is a really good prospect. And then Jalen Milroe, who a lot of people comp to Jalen Hurts, a little bit more of a developmental player. If they could get one of those 4 quarterbacks bootstrap with Abdul Carter, that would be a great night for the Giants.
So many different possibilities with what the Giants could do at that number 3 pick. And I know if you're a Giants fan, you're looking for them to get a quarterback. You want them to get a franchise quarterback. However, obviously you talk about Abdul Carter, one of the best talents being there, also Travis Hunter as well being on the board too. Which way do you go if you are the Giants?
Yeah, for those blue chip difference makers, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, clearly positionally the 2 best players in the draft. And then, again, they need a little luck, but one of those 4 quarterbacks, Amina, should be there towards the bottom of the first round, trade back up, and now you get a great player, and hopefully from a Giants standpoint, you're a quarterback of the future.
Yeah, with the Giants picking at 3, it's their 8th top 10 pick in the last 10 drafts, the most in the NFL in that span. More with Mike T. in
hours or so before the draft. 1 through 3/4 could be somewhat chalky, right? It could be potentially Cam Ward 1 to the Titans, Travis Hunter 2 to the Browns, Abdul Carter to the Giants at 3, and then Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU, to the Patriots at 4. After that, guys, it feels like chaos. It feels like anything that we have expected to happen should not happen 5 through 10, or will not happen 5 through 10. Like, he said he doesn't believe that Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Jacksonville, is going to from Michigan, is going to Jacksonville. Flat out said that's not happening.
Yeah.
Questioned the idea of Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders.
Correct.
Brought up the Jaguars as a wild card, to which your mind, which I love this idea, is going to, could they take Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State?
Yes.
Just in, hey, if we have a great quarterback, what do great quarterbacks love? Great tight ends that you can move all over the place, right? Even more than wide receivers at times. Smalls did not mention New Orleans at 9 for a quarterback at all. And played out the hypothetical, which is unlike Adam to do, with CeCe, of the Bears trading up to potentially get Ashton Jeanty. Wow. All right, what other nuggets did I miss from Shefty? Because he gave us a ton just now.
No, I think you got it all covered, but that's the one that's spicy for me, Jacksonville at 5. There's a team that's picking inside the top 5 that has an obvious need on the interior of their defensive line, yet Adam doesn't suspect that they're going to go defensive line.
Flat out said they won't.
He said they're not going to do it.
Or at least with that player.
That's the thing that he's most confident about, is that they're not going to take Mason Graham with the 5th overall pick.
Which means they are the wild card.
Which means they have to do something. Are they going to trade back? Is there somebody that's willing to dance to move up? And Adam said teams don't want to give up their 2nd or 3rd round picks in order to get up because they view the strength of this draft on day 2, which is what I've heard from some other people around the league. So I guess the question is now, what does Jacksonville do? Would they really consider taking Ted McMillan? That would make it back-to-back receivers in the 1st round. I don't know if that's what they want to do for roster construction. I floated out the idea of Tyler Warren, although it feels rich to take a tight end with the 5th overall pick. There have been 25 tight ends taken in the first round since 2000. That's just the first round. I mean, it's a very small number when you start talking about tight ends taken
one a year
with a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Right? You can count them on one hand. So I think Tyler Warren is a top 5 player when it comes to the draft grade, but I feel like the position devalues the prospect in this instance, which is why I would be skeptical of linking him with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But there is an obvious need there. They got to add more pass catchers to bring out the best in Trevor Lawrence. They got a good start last year with adding Brian Thomas Jr. Could I see a world where they go down that road again this year? Absolutely. I just think at number 5, it's going to be rich no matter who they take.
Smalls?
One of my biggest takeaways outside of the things that you guys already covered was Shedeur Sanders. I asked Adam about the Giants' interest in Shedeur at number 3, and he said as of now, he does not think that they're going Shedeur at number 3. And then if the Saints aren't going to go quarterback, where's the landing spot for Shedeur? How far could he potentially fall? And or which team is going to take advantage of that and jump up and get him?
Right. Very good question, right? Like, so let's just pencil him in hypothetically to the Steelers somewhere, which then takes you to the Rodgers conversation, which then takes you to the Cousins conversation, which then takes you to the information that Adam had in his story on ESPN Plus and ESPN.com of the idea that Kirk Cousins, the Falcons are willing to trade him. They want a team to pay $20 million down. Not going to do that. Vikings and Steelers would be willing to maybe pay $10 million down to get him. Well, if he's going to get traded potentially this weekend because maybe the Falcons want a late round pick and the Steelers get, in this scenario, Shedeur, the Vikings probably are the leader to get Cousins to come back there, knows the offense, no adjustment, etc. Where does Rodgers end up? There is no spot that's obvious for Rodgers, which, by the way, he may not care. Because he's got real life stuff to deal with, which we're obviously not going to dive into, but he's decided not to sign until now. In your scenario that you're reacting to, Smalls, that connects the dots between Shedeur, Rodgers, Cousins, and oh, by the way, where does Jaxson Dart end up? Because he didn't have the Saints getting a quarterback. Do then the Browns or the Giants or maybe the Saints trade back into the first round late to get a quarterback? But as CC just mentioned, no one wants to give up their second round picks or third round picks. Well, you're going to have to in order to trade back in at some point. This draft, Mel said it to us yesterday. Shefty said it to us today. This draft's going to be wild. We have no idea past probably 3 what's going to happen, or 4 what's going to happen at this point. Whew, I'm out of breath. We have I'm Over It coming up next, but first, Small says this from Capital One.
That's right, Evan.
Xin chào cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Và hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là quả dứa. Mọi người, hôm nay vòng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là quả thơm. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu làm nha.